Alright, welcome back everyone. Today what I got here is a Kodak Brownie 2. I picked this one up for like $8 or $9. Dirt cheap, but it was pretty much new looking. So I figured what the hell, why not? But the problem was, when I got it, the spring in here was chattering quite a bit. And I'm guessing it probably has like 70-year-old grease in here, because I doubt this thing has ever been serviced, so I'm pretty sure all the lubricant they put in here is all dried up. But basically what was happening when I had it fully wound up is it would run for a bit and then it would kind of shake a little bit and then it would smooth out and then it would shake a bit, like the spring was kind of binding on itself. So I wanted to get in here and check out the spring and see if it was all dried up, but I couldn't find any information on this, on how to repair it, open it up, take it apart, do anything. So I kind of had to explore on my own. Gotta wait for the spring to wind down. I don't want to take this thing apart with the spring all tight, but I kind of did a little exploratory work on it myself, and I'm confident enough I can show you how to take the cover off this at least and get a look at the spring inside. It's still kind of shaking when it's near the end of its travel. The spring is kind of binding up just a hair still, so what I'm going to do is take the cover off, and normally I wouldn't really consider this video worthy, but the fact that I couldn't find any information on this anywhere means someone else might be dealing with the same problem. So first thing I gotta do is take off this guy, and for that I'm just going to use snap ring pliers. If you have a spanner wrench, that's ideal. Got a couple apprentice marks from trying to do it and it slipped and scratched that, but I'm not worried about that. Anyway, once this comes out, there's going to be a spring and a bunch of little metal parts that come out with it. It's going to look intimidating at first, but it's actually not very complicated. So we're just going to unscrew this, and you can actually just unwind it like that. But alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over to catch all the little parts. There we go. So what's going to come out, you're going to have a washer, and it's got some witness marks on it to tell you which direction it goes. There's going to be a spring, and there's going to be these little metal tabs underneath another smaller washer. So you got, sorry, I'm not in frame. So you got another thin washer, and then these little metal pieces. They're like little half moon clips. So those could all come apart and fall out, but we'll deal with that in a moment. I'll show you how to put that all back together at the end here. And like I said, I'm not an expert by any means on this. I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go. Anyway, we're going to take off our 2 screws here. And keep up my tradition of dropping them. Now, I don't really think it matters too much if the spring is wound or unwound. I'm just paranoid about, you know, potential energy just kind of crashing out of this case when I take the cover off. Now, there's our cover. It's got this black paper on it. And then we got this with our cardboard flap. And inside is our spring. And there's another cardboard section behind there. And all that black stuff, that's old dried up grease. And I believe that is what was causing the chattering. And one thing I was kind of surprised to find is this has a nylon gear in there. Not exactly thrilled to see that. I would have loved to see, you know, like metal, but I don't know how well it's coming through on camera, but you got the metal spring cog driving a nylon gear, which then drives the shutter mechanism in there. Anyway, so there's a couple ways you can go about cleaning the spring. There's the right way, and then there's the way I'm going to do it. Oh no. I was hoping to keep these in place, these little roller bearings. Those little roller bearings go in here. You can kind of see where some of them are. I'll have to drop those back in. I'm gonna need my pliers for them. Or my tweezers. So. I'm just gonna slip these back in their slots. Appears that there was 2 per slot. Anyway, so one way to clean out the spring is with Q-tips, and it is a slow and arduous process. So unfortunately, I don't really know of a way to speed it up unless you want to try using some sort of spray solvent in there, but even that, I'm not too confident on. So to help out, I'm gonna put my winding lever back in. Thread that on. Now I can wind on the spring and expose more to get in there and clean it out with Q-tips. Now I'm not gonna specify what kind of oil I use because that'll just spark debate, and like I said, I'm not really an expert and I don't want a whole bunch of people calling me stupid. So I'm just gonna say use whatever camera oil or lubricant you feel confident will work based on your own research. But anyway, as you can see, there's a ton of dried up grease in there. So once I get all that taken care of, I'm gonna unwind this again. Yeah, should probably unload it first. This time I'm gonna leave the thing face down and you can kind of see all the parts that are gonna fall out. So now let's just say when you first took this off you weren't really paying attention, and now you just have a handful of parts and you're not really sure where they all go. In fact, I appear to be missing one. I'm missing one of these. Where'd I put it? Hold, please. All right, I'm back. Turns out it was laying right here. So put that back. And then when I took it apart upside down, a couple of these little roller bearings fell out, so I gotta put that back. And like I said, there should be 2 of these per slot in here. At least that was the case when I got it. really seems like there should be a lot more, but who am I? Stand by. Okay, sorry about that. Got a little hung up. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, I was getting all these little rollers in here. You can see them kind of pull up with the magnet. Those are essentially your clutch, so that when you wind it on, those rollers acts like a sprag clutch or a roller clutch. Have them in cars too. It's like a one-way clutch. Anyway, so there was 2 of them per little slot in there. So if you do that technique of tipping it over and catching all the parts, those can fall out. So in retrospect, don't do that. Just take the screw off normally and then just deal with your mess of parts, because I'm gonna show you how it all goes back together. So we got, here's all the parts for it. So we have your lever, slips inside this cap. If it would quit fighting me, that would be terrific. Alright. Then you have a big washer that sits inside. So I guess it'd be easier to put the big washer in first, because big washer in and then put on your little lever. Now let's see what we got. We got our little washer. We'll put that on, not even in frame. Little washer, we'll put that on next. No, we won't. We will put on these little levers first, these little forks. So when you're looking at it, there's going to be a bump on it. Right here. We got. So that bump, I don't know how well you guys can see it on here. That bump needs to point upward. So each one of these little forks is going to rest in its little groove on the side there. Now we're going to put our washer on over it, and then our spring on top of that. And lastly, we have our thicker washer, and you can kind of see which side the spring was resting against. I don't think it really matters, but so that's how that part goes together. Now we're gonna put our cover back on. I would just go snug on these. I wouldn't crank these screws down. You're likely to strip them or rip the heads off. They're pretty small screws. So just until you can feel it bottom out. Alright, now we've got our spring assembly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press against the washer to kind of compress the spring. That'll hold it all together. And then place it all inside its little slot, and then take our screw and start threading it in. just gotta do a little function check on it. So the clutch is holding, that's good. And the lever stays up and flops down, so that's good too. That's what those goofy little forks are for inside the little cap in here. Alright, let's see if it goes. Sounds good. Alright. Now, if you have this guy up, it kind of starts doing this, and what that can end up doing is unwinding this little lever. So I guess that's why they say not to run the camera with the lever up, because it can actually unscrew this. But actually it feels pretty good. Hardly any vibration. Yeah. Anyway, that's about it. That's how you get into the back of these and start cleaning out some of that old grease. Like I said, it's a pretty time-consuming process, just kind of getting a Q-tip in there and wiping out all that old grease. And you can use whatever lubricant the internet tells you to use. I'm not going to be the one throwing my hat in that ring, because like I said, it's a constant fight over what to use. So use your discretion, and that'll be it for me. Catch you guys in the next one.